God's doing. And I like what happens in verse 9. It says in verse 9, when they arrived at the place God told them. You almost read past that verse because it doesn't look like there's anything important. The text says, when they arrived at the place God told them. And I suggest to somebody that it's critical that you be in the place that God would have you to be. Y'all listen. It said, when they arrived at the place God told them, and Abraham stopped short, and Abraham gone beyond the mark, and God told him to stop. Everything in the story would have been different. He would have missed ultimately what God had in store for him, but because he was obedient, because he trusted God, because he stopped when God told him to stop, there was a blessing that was going to come out of this message. I'm trying to tell somebody this morning, make sure that you're where God would have you to be. Make sure that you're listening to God. Make sure that you're walking with God. Make sure that you're talking to God, because your whole life may be dependent on the next move of God in your life and where he's trying to move you. It says, when they arrived at the place God told them, verse 9, Abraham still operated in faith, built the altar of sacrifice, places the wood on the altar, bows Isaac upon the altar upon the wood, who was willing like Jesus to lay down his life. Abraham says to Isaac, trust me, it's not as bad as it looks. I don't know who I'm talking to this morning, but shake somebody's hand and say, trust me, it's not as bad as it looks. I know it's dark right now, but it's not as bad as it looks. I know it's cold right now, but it's not as bad as it looks. I know you're in pain right now, but it's not as bad as it looks. You got to believe that God is still going to bring you through. You have to believe that God is still going to step in right on time. You have to believe that God can turn the situation around. You have to believe that God can do anything. Is there anybody here this morning that believes God can do anything but fail? Turn to somebody else and say it's not as bad as it looks. I don't know who I'm talking to this morning, but it only looks like it's going to kill you. You gonna survive because greater is he that's within us than he that's in the world. Who I'm talking to this morning? Somebody that just scream, I am a survivor. Shake the people's hand and say, I am a survivor. I am a survivor. Now, one more person to say, I am a survivor. It only looks like it's going to kill you. Even as Abraham is going back to life, getting ready to slay his son, he said, trust me, it's not as bad as it looks. Have you ever had to trust God in the midnight hour? Have you ever had to trust God when it was getting dark? Have you ever had to trust God when rain was coming down? Have you ever had to trust God when the money is short? Have you ever had to trust God when you didn't have gas in the car? Have you ever had to trust God with anything in your life? I'm going to tell somebody, trust in God and believe God will bring you through. The text says it looks bad as Abraham is putting back the knife, and there's Isaac on the chopping block. Abraham is prepared to come down with the knife, but all of a sudden he hears a voice that says, Abraham, Abraham. I'm glad Abraham recognized God's voice, because if he didn't recognize God's voice, he would have messed things up. He would have got in trouble even more so. I come today to tell somebody, make sure that you recognize God's voice. Even in the midst of chaos, even in the midst of confusion, even in the midst of tears coming down your face, make sure that you still can hear your ear tuned into God. Abraham, touch not the boy. I just wanted to test you before I bless you. I had to see, was there anything, no matter how near and dear it was to you, I had to know that you would give it up and understand that I'm better than any gift that I ever can bless you with.